And in Ryazan last night, drones attacked one of the largest oil refineries in Russia. And this is already the 9th time since the beginning of the year. The strike was confirmed by the General Staff of Ukraine. It is reported that a series of explosions occurred in the area of the facility, after which a fire broke out. And due to the operation of Russian air defense, drone debris damaged an apartment building. Local authorities claim that 29 UAVs were allegedly shot down over Ryazan. In addition, explosions occurred in at least 7 other regions of Russia. The hostile Ministry of Defense insists that they shot down a total of 116 drones. Off the coast of Bulgaria, a Russian Shadow Fleet oil tanker is sinking after being attacked by Ukrainian naval drones. The vessel ran aground and is gradually taking on water. The crew of 10 people has been evacuated. Turkish Coast Guard services tried to tow the damaged ship to shore, but due to a severe storm, they were unsuccessful. 2 sanctioned tankers, the KAIROS and the Virat, were attacked at the end of last week. The operation was carried out by SBU units together with the Ukrainian Navy. Previously, both tankers sailed under the flag of Gambia, but after they were included in the sanctions lists, the Gambian authorities removed them from the registry of their fleet. The second military prayer breakfast took place today in the capital, dedicated to the Day of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. The event brought together military personnel, chaplains, government representatives, clergy, and international guests. Such military prayer breakfasts were initiated in Ukraine last year. How this year's event went was witnessed by Vlada Tsimbalenko.
Since morning, the Kyiv-Pechersk Lavra has been crowded. Hundreds of guests gather here for prayer and breakfast. The military prayer breakfast dedicated to the Day of the Armed Forces of Ukraine is being held for the second time. Today, in the refectory cathedral, the President of Ukraine, the leadership of the armed forces, military personnel, and representatives of various churches have gathered here to unite in prayer for Ukraine. Inside, there are 24 tables. The breakfast is modest and brief, as is fitting for the realities of wartime. The menu includes sandwiches, fruit, tea, and coffee. The main idea of the event is to unite in prayer for Ukraine, and the main message is unity.
Ukrainians are a nation of faith. We believe deeply, we believe in God and hope for His help. We turn to Him in our prayers. Each and every one of us feels this in their own way, but at the same time, we rely on ourselves, on our armed forces. We rely on our friends, on our partners, Europe and the United States. We count on the reasonable, civilized world, which, as you know, Russia has long since violated absolutely everything.
The idea of prayer breakfasts as a tradition originated in the United States back in the middle of the last century. At that time, American congressmen began gathering together for the first time for joint prayer and informal dialogue. Over time, the format spread around the world, and now in Ukraine it is becoming a tradition. Chaplains pray for the military at the front, for those in captivity, and for those we are eagerly awaiting at home.
Prayer is very important because everything is in God's hands. We know that this is far from agreement, and we must pray, especially when we commemorate saints like Vykolaychuk, God, who is especially revered not only among Ukrainians but also around the world. And we remember in prayer asking the Lord to help us and Natalia to persevere, to give us strength to overcome aggression.
The soldiers say that the chaplain service is very important now because it strengthens the spirit and it gives faith.
Every person who carries out their duties and achieves significant results in eliminating the occupier on the battlefield needs support. In particular from the clergy, especially military chaplains. For the first time in 2014, I saw just how much chaplains make life easier and relieve the moral and psychological burden on the soldiers. It is the chaplains.
The event concluded with a final prayer.
Almighty Lord, grant us a resounding victory and firmly establish a truly just and lasting peace in Ukraine.
Vlada Tsimbalenko, Mikhailo Holovnenko. We are Ukraine. Marathon, United News.
And at the prayer breakfast, Volodymyr Zelensky confirmed a possible trip to London as early as Monday. There he is expected to meet with British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, as well as with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz and French President Emmanuel Macron. Together, they are to discuss the negotiation process taking place with American mediation. So negotiations on the peace plan are ongoing in the United States. A new round is taking place today, as reported on social media by NSDC Secretary Rustem Umarov and Donald Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff. And the day before in Miami, there was the 6th meeting between the Ukrainian and American delegations in the past 2 weeks. At this meeting, they discussed the future reconstruction of Ukraine, joint economic initiatives, as well as the outcomes of the trip. Thank you. Earlier in the week, before heading to Moscow, the Americans met with Putin. The results of the negotiations have not been disclosed yet. The Olympic torch relay has started in Italy. The torch lighting ceremony took place at a stadium in Rome. The first to carry the torch was Olympic swimming champion Gregorio Paltrinieri. The flame will travel across the country for 2 months. During this time, it will cover a route of 12,000 kilometers and visit every Italian province. It will be carried by more than 10,000 athletes, musicians, actors, and other celebrities. In fact, the Winter Olympic Games will begin on February 6th. The opening ceremony will take place in Milan.
A new tradition has been started at the National Military Memorial Cemetery near Kyiv. There, they have begun planting an oak alley in memory of the fallen defenders of Ukraine to honor the memory of the fallen heroes. Their families have come from all over Ukraine.
A person who understands why Ukraine needs its language, why it is necessary to defend Ukraine's history, why we need our cities and human life.
This is how Victoria describes her husband, Vitaly Krasovsky. He had been on the front since 2015. In March 2022, he was killed in Mariupol.
The guys were waiting for the blockade to be lifted, but unfortunately it was already impossible to do so. According to confirmed sources, Vitaly destroyed a BMP-3 and not just one. He was a sapper, laying mines and explosives so that the Russians couldn't advance further into the city. But unfortunately, the strength, there were far more of them than of us.
He remained the commander, was devoted, and didn't want to leave until the very end.
Next to her is Vitaly's mother. A year and a half after her son's death in September 23, her husband was killed in Donetsk region.
We asked him to retire already, but he said, no, I won't leave my boys behind. And until the very end, he was with them, with his boys.
He was awarded the Order for Courage, unfortunately, posthumously.
The tree of memory is being planted by Irina and Valery, the parents of Dnipro Hubaryev. At 29 years old, the soldier died during the defense of Mariupol. He was posthumously awarded the Order for Courage.
What remains is memory. We will remember for the rest of our lives, as long as we live. But for future generations, for the people who will come after us, coming here and looking at these trees will serve as a reminder that there were people who took up arms and defended our Ukraine.
The Alley of Remembrance was established at the National Military Memorial Cemetery. The cemetery was opened in August.
Honoring the memory and culture of remembrance for every defender, both men and women, who gave their lives defending Ukraine, is a fundamental priority for our entire nation. This is an opportunity to immortalize them, to preserve the memory of every fighter for many decades to come.
The creation of the alley was initiated by Vera Litvinenko, the mother of a defender who died in Mariupol. Here, 56 oaks were planted in memory of the fallen soldiers.
The oak is associated with strength, and in the same way, our warriors are characterized by power, courage, resilience. This is the valor of a soldier, the oak. This will also be a joint effort. In terms of respect, it unites very much.
The heroes gave each family a ration card with the names and call signs of the deceased.
Stanislav Kovshar, indeed, Bart, I clearly see.
Daryali, come on. Valery Rybchenko, we are Ukraine. Marathon. The only news.